country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thursday night, right? Today's Thursday. I can never remember what day it is, man. I just go one day to the next. So, welcome back, everybody. Another night, the American Radio Show. Ty Freedom, Francis Marion. Busy night tonight, brother. How was your last couple days?
Good, brother. How have you been doing?
Good. It's been busy. It's been cold here, but I guess it's been cold everywhere. So.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Thanks for joining tonight. Want to shout out to all the SoCo Patriots who are in here, everybody else that's joined around the country. And thanks, Big Sarge, for coming in tonight from the Big Sarge Radio Show. It's good to have you in here, man. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, welcome again. Thanks, brother, for being here. So, dude, it's been a couple days, and as usual, lately, it seems like a ton has been happening. So, I know we got a bunch of stuff going on, and then that we're going to go over, and then also tonight, we're going to do a quick little interlude in the middle and catch up on Cliff Notes, because I didn't get it out the other night. I thought I could pull it off. I did my usual mistake. I overbook. I think I can fit too much in. I just figured out that I just wasn't made for 24-hour days. Like, I need 30-hour days in order to get everything done that I need to get done. I need 30-hour days, possibly 7.5 days a week, and then I'd be good. Can you work on that for me?
Oh, I'm in the same boat as you.
Talk to the big man.
There's never enough. Yeah, there's never enough time. That's a huge request to put in. That's a huge request.
Talk to the big man, see if we can, I mean, it's just a minor alteration. But anyway, so I overbooked.
So I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Hold on, I hate to interrupt. So
yeah.
Were you out chopping wood today too?
No, I wasn't out chopping wood today. But
okay, because we were both wearing our flannels today, and I was wondering if we were out being lumberjacks today.
No, I just lumberjack at heart. I got a little lumberjack in me, maybe somewhere. I used to cut wood. I used to heat. When I was in my 20s, we heated primarily with wood for years, mostly because we couldn't afford much else. But plus, I just thought it was cool to have a good excuse to go out in the woods with maybe a buddy or my dad, and chainsaws and a 5-gallon can of premix, and make a bunch of noise and sawdust and spend the day in the woods and come home and drink a beer and be like, feel like a man or something. I don't know, whatever.
Thanks, Big Sarge. Appreciate that. I still burn firewood, to be honest with you. My family still burns firewood all winter. That's what we do.
Yeah.
It's just something that we do. I enjoy it. That's what we do.
Yeah, I do too.
So we do have a busy evening. Thanks, everybody, for joining. If you could please share this out. We see people saying they shared it. If you could just share it out to us, we'd sure appreciate it.
Yeah, so so to close that up, I overbooked. I thought I could do the dinner, do the birthday thing, come home, have enough energy to sit down and do cliff notes on the book, and I just couldn't. So, and really, these chapters that we're going to go over tonight, I think if you can get this shared out, maybe I'll give you a warning, like 10 or 15 minutes again too before we do the cliff notes. But if you got somebody that you think needs to or might get into this book tonight, I think is going to be the night that will hook somebody, because I'll give a quick recap of what we went over the other night, which is basically just a quick intro into his life, and then we'll get into this second section, which really starts to dive into how to read the Quran, how to interpret the Quran, how Muslims are instructed to interpret the Quran, and so this will hook you to, I think, realize, or hook anybody to realize how much information is in this book. Comes right from the heart of somebody that lived it. So we'll do that right in the middle, right? So should we get started, dude? Because there is a lot. What do you think? Unless you got some comments. I can't see comments again because, I'm my phone issue, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, let's see. Like I said, we got Big Sarge in here. We have Pam from Tennessee. Thanks for joining.
Hey,
a lot of SoCo Patriots.
Hey, before you go on real quick, Big Sarge, could you put a link or a comment up there and add in your show? Thanks for joining us, and thanks for checking in, brother. And I enjoy his show. I enjoy their show. I went on there one evening, one night so far. So anyway, sorry, go awesome. On. Who else is with us?
We got Jeremy Harris and his wife out of Wyoming, Solid Patriots. Steffi Garbo, Linda, and Linda's in here. We've got a great bunch of Patriots in here tonight.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for coming out. All right, dude, let's fire it up. Okay, first thing I got. Okay, you guys remember it was Tuesday. And I just put a quick blip up there about this professor that taught his class, basically wishing for white genocide, taught the whole class about, white genocide and reparations and all this. And then he ended up resigning. Remember we did that story? He resigned out of fear from feeling unsafe.
Yeah.
Well, never fear. Never fear in New York City. This is George, I'm never going to get his name right, Sicario Maher. This is the professor. NYU hired him. Anti-white professor. He worked at Drexel University. The Drexel University professor who said, "All I want for Christmas is white genocide." That's a quote, by the way. "All I want for Christmas is white genocide." As well as blamed white people for the Las Vegas mass shooting, which, again, what happened to Las Vegas? We'll just leave that there for right now. He resigned after being investigated, and he's taken a position with prestigious New York University. Welcome to New York. I guess he left California, went to New York, so no surprise there. So he was tenured at his last post as an associate professor of politics and global studies, and he started a visiting scholarship at NYU's Hemispheric Institute of Performance and Politics. Wow. Hemispheric Institute of Performance and Politics. Huh. Okay. He wrote on his personal Facebook page, quote, "After nearly a year of harassment by right-wing white supremacist media outlets and internet mobs, after death threats and threats of violence..." You mean this was after you called for white genocide? Oh, okay.
Right.
"After threats and threats of violence directed against me and my family, my situation has become unsustainable. Staying at Drexler in the eye of the storm has become detrimental to my own writing, speaking, and organizing." Oh. Let's have a moment of silence for poor white genocide professor. Okay, moment's over.
Yeah. They're all looking for their sympathy.
Unbelievable. So he says we are at war, and academia is the crucial front in that war. Now, I will give him this. That right there is something that we have said for a very, very long time, and is exactly the reason why I initially got into doing, radio show or activism or politics at all, really, is exactly that statement. And I'll say it again. I'll read it again, because I'll give him credit for it. We are at war, and academia is a crucial front in that war. That is 100%. And that right there, coming from a guy like this, should wake everybody up and scare just about most of you. That's the truth.
Right.
The problem is
I would say so.
The problem is the extremists, the progressive extremists, are the ones that see it. they're the ones that see it, and we don't. So, okay, let me go on here. The right is targeting campuses with thinly veiled provocations disguised as free speech, he continues. My case and many others show just how cynical such appeals are and how little the right cares about academic freedom. He talks about, in the past year, forces of resurgent white supremacy have tasted blood and are howling for more. Given the pressure they will continue to apply, university communities must form a common front against the most reprehensible forces in society and refuse to bow to their pressure, intimidation, and threats. Only then will universities stand any chance of survival. Holy crap. This guy is really, I mean, he's really, really full of it. Like,
Off the deep end?
Well, yeah, beyond, and this is, again, people, this is an example, just one example, of the people that are raising our children, because this is no different than a viewpoint of many high school teachers. No different than viewpoints that we've shown on the show and that we've all witnessed of middle school teachers and grade school teachers. It's academia. This is academia. This is what academia is becoming. Is this everything? No. This is an extreme, of course, but where there's extreme, there's followers that are shortly behind there. So, this guy's from originally Philadelphia. Philadelphia-based Drexel issued a statement the same day as Maher's resignation that called him, quote, an outstanding classroom teacher.
What's up, Dan?
That must be a technical term, an outstanding classroom teacher. That must means he follows the rules. Who made, quote, significant scholarly contributions to the field of political thought. I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that he made, quote, significant scholarly contributions if he's calling for white genocide. Where is the scholarly value there? Blamed whiteness for the Nevada shooting. White people and men are told that they're entitled to everything. This is what happens when they don't get what they want. That's what he said about the Vegas shooting.
Yeah, no, he's a nut. He's said a few things over the last few years that have put him on the radar. I don't know if he's just that stupid or if he's just doing it for attention, to be honest with you, Francis.
Yeah, he at least I don't know if he's I don't believe he's doing it for attention. I really don't. I honestly, because Carol. Coming recently from a state university, I witnessed not quite the outwardly extremism like this, but you could feel it, man. It was right under the surface. I mean, it was right under the surface. It was right there, and I could just I wish I could go. I was so naive. I didn't even really figure out what was going on until my senior year. I wish that I had the money to blow on another, not blow. I wish I had the money to just live off of and go back for another degree, because I would do it. I'd go back to that same university and I would take this radio show and I'd take it right back to the university and I'd spend 4 years doing another degree and I'd graduate with honors again, you punks. And on top of it, dude, I would just wreck that place. Just wreck it for 4 years. So if anybody has, let's see, I can live on very little. I've lived on very little for the last 9 months. So, if anybody out there wants to do a good expose, a 4-year documentary expose on crushing political correctness and brainwashing in academia.
First of all, you're not going to get to go back to college without me.
Well, just send me okay, you can come and document. I need somebody to be a historian and documenter and to understand this stuff right there, because it's going to be, dude, it'll be a crazy ride, man. It'll be insane, trust me. So
Happy New Year's, Denise.
If somebody's got I can probably, I don't know, I'd have to look at my bare minimum bills, but I mean, I could survive on very little. But the education's going to be another, I don't know, 40 or 50 grand. But if anybody's got that laying around and wants to invest in a documentary movie, an independent film documentary movie, and we'll call it Crushing the Progressive Academia. And it would be fun.
Dude, hey, everybody's in with this. We have Tara saying she'll send us cookies to the dorms. We have Dan doing do it.
Yeah.
This reminds me of the new 21 Jump Street. Yeah. Could you imagine me and you? Oh, man, it would be over. Oh,
21
They would
Jump
tar and
Street.
feather us. They would split and quarter us. They'd drag us with golf carts. It would be horrible.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, it would, because like I said, I
What's up,
felt
Daniel?
I felt it the first 2 years, but I was at a community college. And so I just thought, 18,
Happy New Year's, Denise.
18, 19-year-olds. I thought, this is 18, 19-year-olds, right? I mean, by the time I get to the university and people are like 20,
Right, Jeremy?
20, 21 to and above, right? I figured it'd get better. No, it got worse.
Right.
Worse, dude. And I didn't figure it
Right.
out, really. I didn't really figure out what was going on until my senior year, and I started realizing like how much money was going to the diversity center and how much money was going to the veterans center, which was zero, by the way, zero to the veterans center, and where the diversity center was in the glass front at the front of the university, right when you pull in the parking lot with big signs and everything, diversity, and where was the veterans? They were on like the second or third floor of some unused office space building with an inward-facing window overlooking the commons, which there was nothing ever good to look at because, of course, you couldn't put anything out there like signs or have any festivities unless you went through a whole process to get a freaking permit and to get a permission, and it was like freaking communism, man.
It is communism.
I must have I caused at least half a dozen heart attacks, and I really only pushed them for half a year. If I could have 4 years at them.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm not gonna lie about the time I got out of school is right when Bush was going to the UN with trying to go into Iraq, and I wanted to bring this up because Big Sarge had said when he was in school that he went ahead and had a professor grade him on a paper that he had wrote regarding something to do with political view, and that also happened to me. I had wrote a paper, got slammed in the class on it, took it to the writing center, they took a look at the paper, they graded it, and they were like, this is an A- paper. I actually had to go to the board, I had to go to the English department, and she actually overturned the grade, and then she wasn't allowed to grade any of my papers that year after that. Here's the deal. It was CU Springs. It was the University of Colorado, out of Boulder, which is the most liberal. It's the Berkeley of Colorado. She was an English teacher. So, here I am in the English department writing a paper like that. And she totally just hit me with a C-. And I was looking at it and I was like, man, this has got to be, you've got to be kidding me. So after that, I still had to be in the class. And she would never call on me. She basically blackballed me in the class, and that's fine. That really don't matter. Whatever. Yeah. But that whole paper thing freaked me out. And what else drives me crazy is we see these liberal institutions, academia has basically inflated the cost of this education to us kids. Okay, so you're sending your kids off to school. Number one, the way I look at it is they've told everybody you need an education. They've inflated it. Sure, capitalism is great, but we need to realize that academia not only has inflated education on us, they are paying us to change the minds of our kids. I was speaking to a lady today at the doctor's office. And
we're paying them.
We're paying them.
I know what you meant.
My bad. Yeah, so we're sitting here, we're talking, me and this lady, and she's like, I send my son to Colorado College, and I'm sure Colorado College are a prestigious hockey school. They're always in the Frozen Four, and she's like, they totally ruined my son. And I'm like, really? She's like, Ty, I never thought I would say this, but my son was home for Christmas break, and for like 10 days I had to bite my tongue, and I couldn't believe I didn't even want him there. And I'm like, wow, because this lady, she's loved her kid, and she's like, he just believes all this nonsense, and they're filling his head full of this stuff. So, we've said it before, we look at the colleges, there's too much money in academia for us to go after the universities because we could never fight that money, the donor money coming in from all these prestigious liberal left lawyers. You know what I mean?
Right.
George Soros pours money into these institutions. We could cut tax dollars, which we did find out, which I didn't know, but I didn't find out till the whole Berkeley fiasco when Trump was saying how much federal money went to educational institutions that were on the college level. But where we do need to make the changes is definitely in our local school, because that's where we have the most voice, our local school district for our kids, and we need to teach them to fight against that type of education when they get to college, because I have 2 daughters, and they're going to, I think it's more pertinent for a woman to go to college than a man. I see Steffi said at trade school. I agree. Men should be plumbers, electricians. Those are the lost arts in this country. And I think that's also been part of the degradation of our society and the takeover is they always talk about building the wall. well, how are you going to build a wall if you don't have men to build a wall? What are people going to be like? Well, hold on a second. Well, I can't wear a hard hat. I have a man butt. Or, oh my God, steel toes are going to look horrible with my skinny jeans. Oh, I don't want to get blisters on my hands. I mean, and that's what scares me. Tara, Ty, got to that point with my daughter. I got that bad. She was unbearable to be around with those pushy agenda and stuff. Okay, so here's another parent that said it. And I mean, we're all parents. We know how much we love our children. You have parents going, this is insane. I can't even stand to be around my kids. So trade schools, tech schools. That's right, guys. So what we need to do, right, Robert? So what we need to do, guys, is we need to start changing this in where we can, the local level, in our kids' grade schools and high schools. Sorry for my rant. Take it over, brother. That was my little
it's
rant
all
on the whole thing.
This is what we're talking about.
Matthew Studd said something good. Sorry to cut you off. Political correctness must be crushed, all right? However, until citizens get educated and informed about their civic responsibility and authority, our representative republic requires the consent of the governed. Patriots are failing to assert their rightful place in the governance of our America. Yes, Matthew, I'm pinning that.
Very well said. Yeah, pin that one.
Wow.
Very well said.
Yeah, we've had a couple. Thanks, Tara. We've had a couple comments like that in the last couple weeks, and that makes us feel good because you guys get us.
Yeah.
That's like, this guy gets us. This is why we're on here. We're on here to inform. We're on here to try to fix this together, and we're on here to try to educate each other on how to make this grassroots political change, guys.
That's right. Education, motivation, inspiration.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, so you know what? I mean, whatever. That's the professor. It's about what he's worth. What else we got here? Oh, this is good. I mean, it's not good, but the New York City mayor. I mean, he's such a nice guy, right? I mean,
yeah, he's a champion,
right? What a peach.
Thanks, Big Sarge.
I mean, it's
sorry, Steph. You're right. Everybody can't be management. People have to do the work. That is exactly right. And I had to jump in and say that.
That's right.
Sorry.
No, that's right. Hey, there is. What was I going to say? Oh, this is just another. I mean, it's great. Let's a round of applause for yet another millionaire elected official. The mayor of New York City is a millionaire. And I love how these guys are all and gals are all millionaires. And you know what? Just to reward himself for being such a accomplished and successful public servant, he gave himself a raise to the tune of $33,000 a year.
No, and this is one of the biggest salt states in the nation right now.
It's yeah, you're exactly right. He gets a fat 15% raise when his second term begins Monday. So at the end of his first term, he voted for himself or passed for the position a raise of $33,000 a year. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give the next guy a raise. Oh hey, who's the next guy? Me.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna take care of myself.
What is that? Is
me,
that
myself, and I?
Is that just pocket change? So $33,750 boost is more than the annual salary of a full-time worker making the city's roughly $13 minimum wage. Throw in a free residence, free transportation, free food. The salary doesn't look half bad.
Yeah, no. Hey, travel, expense, I mean everything. Covered.
What a turd. Plus all the back door. Yeah.
Francis, I see that Louis from Major League Liberty hopped in here, and he was wondering if he could hop in with us for a second.
Yeah. Have him Skype me, Louis. Skype me.
Awesome. Yeah, that $33K a year, that don't surprise me. They said it's so, have you seen that meme? And it made me laugh. I was thinking about, they're talking about the big freeze on the East Coast. I figured it was probably so cold in New York City that even the Democrats were keeping their hands in their own pockets. I love that meme. It's great. It's a classic.
That's awesome. I hadn't seen that one. Had not seen that.
It's a good one. It's a classic.
This says
What's up, Michael?
There's more. According to a Newsday article, the couple, this is him and his wife, also made $106,000 in rental income from two homes they own in Park Slope in Brooklyn, but they claimed a loss of $6,237 after factoring in expenses, including taxes, mortgage interest, and depreciation. Wasn't that convenient? $106,000 of untaxable income.
Right, and like Daniel said, in his house in Queens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right.
Oh, that's classic. Good one, Daniel.
So, yeah, and these properties are worth millions. Oh, there's Mr. Louis Huey. Let's see if we can get everybody in on here. Hey, hang on, brother. I got to see if I can get Ty in here. That's not Ty Freedom. You guys see Lewis, but that's Lewis. That's not Ty. All of a sudden, Ty changed to Lewis. Let's see. We're getting Ty in here. Come on, Ty. Okay, we're almost getting Ty in here.
Well, good to see you, Francis.
Yeah. Sorry, brother. I'm distracted. This is the problem with having, or not having, a technical guru or producer, is that you get someone like me who is not technical nor producer-ish, and so I gotta make it all happen. But how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
Good.
Well, I mean, today's news got me a little flustered, and I'm about to go off here in about 20 minutes. But yeah.
Oh, good. Well, that's what I can't wait for. That's what we were saying. I think Ty was saying, he mentioned a little bit to me. Hey, Ty's back. Woohoo, we're all here. Yeah.
What's up, Lewis? How you doing, man?
Good. I'm good. Well, I'm happy to be on your guys' show again. I mean, today's news has got me pretty shook, but other than that, I'm good.
Good.
It's good to hear, man. Happy New Year.
I hope
Happy New Year.
I hope it's what I think it is. If it was what you posted on earlier, because I wanted to talk about it too. So I'm interested to get into it. You want to, you guys, for anybody that hasn't met Louis yet, Louis Huey, and tell us the name, because I always forget. Tell us the names of your brothers that help you out over there at Major League Liberty.
Yeah, my producer man, Seth Opperman, Big Cheese himself. He is my technical guru, and I can't thank anybody or God enough for having him around. The work that he does for us is unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
Also, Liberty Logan, my counterpart, my co-anchor. I also got Conspiracy B, Brock. I got Shane Barrett, Crypto Shane. I got Liberty Wombat, Glenn Flanagan. I got a really good team behind me, and I love what we're doing. And 2018 is fixing to be our year. We mean business, especially for Make America Great Again. And
yep.
And tonight's going to be a night for me to kick off. I'm heated. I got some stuff to say today.
All right, fire it at us. What do you got?
Oh, I'm going to be going off on Jeff Sessions today and Steve Bannon. I feel a little betrayed.
Nice. We were going to hit those, so I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Right. Also, though, coming up on Tuesday, as you guys may have known, your followers don't know, but I'm going to be interviewing candidates all across the country that I think are going to contribute the most to the liberty movement, to the patriot movement, libertarians, Republicans, what have you. It doesn't matter. But yes, on Tuesday, I will be interviewing Steve Barlock for governor of Colorado over at Major League Liberty on our Facebook page. And I'm really excited about this one, guys, because he went to war for Donald Trump during the election last year. And he actually worked locally here to get Wisconsin and states like Pennsylvania to actually swing for Trump. So this guy's huge. He's anti-globalism, pro-Trump, pro-MAGA. He's amazing. And he sparked my interest when I met him at the College Republicans here in Denver. We had a one-year anniversary party for Trump's election win. Mm-hmm. And when I met this guy, I was completely blown away. And I'm really excited for everybody to check this guy out.
Cool.
You're going to like him.
And that's what day again?
I'm excited.
Tuesday, January 9th. It'll be at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time.
Right on. I'll have to check it out.
You guys will like him. You guys will like
excited.
this guy. Yeah.
I mean, I'm really excited, and you need to send him down our way to the south, Lewis, so he can come and meet this group of patriots I have down here. We already have a candidate, a Fat Man, the guy that you met up there. He's been working on it. He has a candidate by the last name of Lopez, I think, coming down already to do a talk down here. Yeah, we're just trying to get him down here. We were at an event the other day, and we just keep telling them, hey, you know what? There's patriots that want to vote that are 90 miles south of Pueblo, so why don't you get down here and talk to us? So we appreciate your help in doing that because you've been instrumental in helping us try to get them down here.
And that's definitely going to be one of the questions. Your guys' friend Stephanie and some other people have been saying the same thing. What's it going to take for him to come down and visit? And I think that's huge, especially Pueblo, south of Pueblo. the parts that other candidates and politicians like to forget about Colorado, because the big winners clearly are Denver and Boulder.
Yeah,
Right.
They dictate. They dictate.
Right. And I think what Stephen Barlock does have a good vision on how to swing the state away from being a blue state. So, and I'm definitely going to be bringing that out. If any of your fans and followers out there have any questions for this guy, shoot it my way, shoot it Ty's way, shoot it Francis's way, and
Awesome.
I'm sure they'll give it to me. I'm sure.
Yes, I saw you post
I agree,
that.
Dan. I agree, Mary No DACA. I agree.
Yes.
With you guys.
Absolutely. Well, what's
We're all in agreement there.
what do you got on Bannon? What's your take here? Because of course we all saw the first initial, kind of Bannon release, and then of course Trump fired back because what else would Trump do? That's what we expect. He gives us the raw, and then of course now we see today new developments. So why don't you want to take us into that? Give us what you got all fired up on.
I don't want to give you take away too much away from me,
No,
but I'm sure
go
you
for
guys
it.
are going to be close to what I have to say. But I mean, I took it with a grain of salt yesterday, and I was giving Bannon the benefit of the doubt. But after what's coming out now, and who is getting ready to fund him now, I think Stephen Bannon has stabbed us in the back, and we need to watch out and see who he cronies up with now, because
Right.
Who-
yeah,
it's not
that's
good.
Who do you see
it
that
kinda reminds me
happening
of
with?
Mortal Kombat.
He lost his big funder, billionaire Rebecca Mercer, who has said that she has not been talking to him since November and has not been funding
Deborah.
any of his political ambitions. And that's huge because that's one of Breitbart's biggest funders, and she's gone now. And so now he's cuddling up to a guy by the name of Miles Kwok, who used to work for Chinese intelligence, but was then caught in financial fraud. So then he switched parties or switched, sides or whatever. And he was actually asked to be extradited from America back to China by the Chinese government for the fraud, and he
Wow.
still hasn't been. And this guy, he's actually funded Hillary Clinton.
Of course he has.
This guy, yes, and this
What
is who
scum
Steve
on the
Bannon-
earth hasn't? But,
And this is who Steve Bannon, the champion of fighting globalists, is cuddling up with. It's
Yes.
a big talk for concern, and Breitbart needs to do something.
yeah,
But-
no, I agree with you. I think he'll be axed soon.
Are
I think
are they?
I think you're going to start to see it. I mean, especially since Trump called for it, which I thought was pretty funny. So.
Well, 80% of Breitbart's followers are Trump followers. So I don't know
Right.
what Bannon thinks he's doing.
Yeah,
I
that
think
makes
he's-
it makes you wonder. It really does. It makes you wonder what he's thinking. I don't know. It could be going down in flames. I mean, who knows?
Right. And I don't want to take too much away from you guys, but I love the fact you guys bring me on. I love coming on your show and promoting you guys. So please bring me on again. Fans and followers of the American Radio Show, check us out on Tuesday. I think all of us are going to like this guy, Stephen Barlock, a lot. This guy needs help, and I'm going to get him exposed. And like I said, if you guys have questions for him about, pushing the Make America Great Again agenda,
Awesome.
give them to Ty, give them to Francis, and I'm sure they'll give them to me. Or you can check
Yes,
us
we
out
will.
over at Major League Liberty.
Yep,
And I'll
absolutely.
continue to support you guys, too, because you guys are
Yeah.
doing a tremendous job.
Thank you, and yeah, we appreciate it, man. And for sure, we'll share it out. And once you get out of here, if you could go ahead and throw up the web page and whatever the website page, and I'll pin it so you guys have it up here.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Thanks
All
for
right.
coming in tonight. We appreciate it.
Right on. What else? You
course.
said you had two things on your mind. What do you got? You had Bannon, and what else were we gonna hammer on?
Well, as you guys know, I'm a libertarian.
What?
I think that, I think that victimless crimes don't deserve jail time and federal breakdowns and shakedowns.
Okay.
And Jeff Sessions continues to not focus on the real
Yeah.
problems and real issues that he needs to focus on.
Yes.
He wants to go after states with legal marijuana.
Yes.
And he's going to piss off a lot of the base of the Trump supporters, and this is not good.
Yes. Dude, I'm glad that you brought that up because I couldn't agree more. I don't whether you are personally, whether a person is personally for it or not, I think is kind of irregardless. But if you're a conservative and you say you believe in freedom and liberty, then I don't understand how you can argue for federally
State rights.
Yeah, for federally mandating hemp, because Okay, we can't go down this road because I'm going to spoil it, because we are going to do an entire show on this, and I don't want to get into how hemp was made illegal and why and the money. I don't want to get into that yet, so I'm just going to say I'm with you on this. I think they need to de-schedule it, derate it. Down from schedule.
And that's my take
Simple.
on this, you guys. You want me to be totally honest with you about this? And, tonight we were going to talk about this. And first of all, I want to bring up Senator Cory Gardner, the junior senator that we have here. I mean, in my honest opinion, there's some things I don't agree with him. I don't agree with him on the Dreamers deal, and I don't agree with him. You don't believe in the border wall. They were just in our local community, and the lady that speaks for him flat out said he thinks that money could be put towards infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two things I don't agree with him on. But I will have to say he is very impressive for junior senator. I mean, he come out today and he blasted Sessions. He's like, we talked to you on the floor. You said you weren't going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You said that Trump wasn't going to do this, but here's my take of it, guys. Is I think they're doing the same thing that they're doing with DACA and everything. They are throwing it to the politicians. They are throwing it to Congress to do their job. And I think right now you have the American Legion. They're going after the veterans. They're going after the group, saying, hey, we want it rescheduled so we can give it to the guys. The federal government's already said they're going to be lax on troops coming in. Did you already see that?
Mm-hmm.
So the federal government's laxing on this. So I think, in my honest opinion, I think everybody's upset. A lot of it has to do with money reasons, because right now you have people getting ready to invest in pot in California, Colorado. Today they're sitting there ready to sign the dotted line on $1 million contract, and now they're pulling back. But I truly believe Trump is a state rights guy. If Jeff Sessions would have had his way, he would have pulled the noose around the marijuana the first 2 days he was in office. He hates it.
Mm-hmm.
So in my honest opinion, I think this is Trump throwing it to Congress, saying, okay, guys, deregulate it so we don't have this issue anymore. That's my take on it. That's what I see with this, because one thing we've learned is nobody sneezes unless the huge man says they can.
The huge man. So much winning.
Man.
So
that's my
much
take
winning.
on it, guys. I mean, that's my take.
Well, I'm just gonna refrain, because this topic is. I have a hard time getting into this topic politically.
I'll just say one little thing. A good friend of mine, Austin Peterson, is running as a Republican now. He's no longer a Libertarian. He has switched parties. He's running as a Republican in Missouri to unseat Claire McCaskill. And obviously, clearly, this is one of those things that I just don't understand how anybody can support putting somebody in a cage, taking away their financial assets because they chose to put a medicine or a chemical into their body. The federal government does not own your body.
A plant.
You own your own body.
Yeah.
And the war on drugs was started by the UN. So, I mean, I got lots to say about this, but we do have liberty-minded candidates coming up in the Republican Party and the Libertarian Party. We have good people coming up, and it's hard for me just to take all these so-called conservatives that they're supposedly for small, limited government and liberty, but yet support putting people in cages and taking away their money for smoking a plant. It's kind of absurd. And we're trying our best to help people realize, like, listen, if you want liberty, you can't put people in cages for a victimless crime. Nobody was hurt.
That's why I have a problem watching cops. I'm not gonna lie. You see cops, you see them driving down the street, they see this kid on a bike, and they're like, "Hey, I want to talk to you." And then they're like, "Hey, let us look through your pockets." And then they find a cellophane with a little nugget of pot in there. Then they put him through the system, all the court costs, everything they've done. What they should have done is they probably should have took the pot, put it in their pocket, sent him down the road, and went home that night, rolled it and smoked it together, so they weren't so upset the next day at work.
Yeah, so they weren't so uptight.
I mean, how come we have guys going to jail for a quarter ounce of dope, and then you have sexual offenders going for 90 days and getting out and it's nonsense. I mean, I was a fan of Reagan, but his war on drugs was nonsense. All the war on drugs was a way to put surplus military equipment into police forces, which overpowered them. But that's another story for another day.
And even
the war on drugs is a joke.
And even beyond having all those people in jail, how can you be all over somebody in possession of marijuana, but yet Hillary Clinton still roams free? I mean, as far as I'm concerned.
Blows my mind.
No, right?
I mean,
Well, like Dan said, it's such a non-issue. Watch the fire, not the smoke, and it makes you wonder, what are they pulling? Because why is this up all of a sudden? What's really going on in the background?
Right there is somebody who either either we're starting to get on the same page or they're already way ahead of us, because that's exactly what we mean when we say question everything. If you see something over here, it's like, oh, look over here. We're going to crack back down on marijuana. We're going to come after all the states that have established millions of dollars in tax revenue. We're going to start coming after you. Come on, that doesn't make sense. There's something that's high. There's something else going on. Something else going on.
You guys are always on fire. I love watching you guys and what you guys do. I'm going to go ahead and check out, but you just nailed it right there. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and sign out with you guys. I got to get ready for my show, but you guys are amazing. Keep it up.
Good night, man. And as soon as we're done here, I'll hop over and check out your show, man.
All right. Thanks, guys. Liberty prevails.
Appreciate it, brother. Take care, and everybody check out Major League Liberty and Louis Huey and the boys. Thanks, brother.
Later, man.
Talk to you later. All right. Wow. So that's good. I like.
I sure enjoy having Louis on. He's a kick, man. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
They're doing good things at Major League Liberty, man.
Yeah, he is. They're good guys. I like them a lot. So, yeah. So
Dan keeps saying, watch for 2A. That's where they're coming. And that's where the UN's coming. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's coming. The thing is it's hard to stop a lot of this because it's coming at us from so many different directions and so many different avenues.
Under so many different guises.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They're gonna try and come after it with with marijuana. They're gonna try and say it's basically, we've already seen a little bit of it. You know, it's either your medical cannabis card or your gun rights. They're gonna continue to come after them with veterans and mental health. They've been doing that for a long time, building that rhetoric, building that narrative. They're coming. So. But we do have a lot to get through. I know that Louis kind of hit on it, on the whole Bannon issue, and you pulled up an article as well on this, correct?
Yeah, I have it right here. We could run through it, guys.
Yes.
This was an article I pulled up off of Fox, and basically this is talking about the book that's coming out. The article is called "Trump Demands Publisher Stop Release of Book That Caused Bannon Fallout." So we know right now that we're seeing all this excerpts from this book coming out all over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, actually, they're trying to hurry up the sale of it because it wasn't supposed to start sale until the 9th, but they're trying to pre-release it 4 days because Trump's attorneys had sent a cease and desist order to them on publication of the book. And the article is about, guys. They asked him right now to immediately stop publication,
right,
and to not send the books out. But the publisher and the author, I mean, they know they've got to make their gold mine. They know how many people dislike Trump. They know that these people that dislike Trump are going to buy 10 copies in case for some reason their other 9 are ever burned or something.
Of course.
So they're definitely going to try to pre-sale and make some money about this. But Trump definitely come out. He had his lawyers. They came out and they said, you need to stop this. This stuff's erroneous. It's lies. It's falsehoods. Supposedly the guy wasn't even around that much. So, I mean, the thing that I liked is this is the way that this was the comment, the quote they came out with. Mr. Trump hereby demands that you immediately cease and desist from any further publication, release, or dissemination of the book, the attorney Charles Harder said. That's pretty clear to me that he means business. And it's pretty clear to me that if he's going to go out, I mean, we've seen Trump go out through this whole thing, and he's picked and he's chosen his battles.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
His wife sued some tabloids. He must think that he really has something here. I doubt that he would be that forward if he didn't think it was a bunch of BS. I mean, wouldn't you say that?
Well, either that or there's something that, I mean, I suppose there probably are things that Bannon could say or release that would be probably harmful or not, I guess, desired. I mean, he was on the inside, of the campaign, but...
Well, the thing that I don't understand about it is then Bannon comes out and basically, I mean, not only does he go after Trump, he goes after Trump Jr., he goes after Donald Jr. So he basically comes out, there's some comments made in the book I saw where they never thought they were going to win the White House. Then the night that they won the White House, that the first lady was crying, that they were shocked. He didn't even want to be president. So you see these... And here's the thing is I don't even think, from what I understand from what I understand from the article and what I've heard is he wasn't even there for a lot of the stuff he was talking about. I think they say that he was only around for 12 times. And he explains it in the article is pretty much Donald said I could be around and everybody was upset I was there. This Wolf character, everybody was upset I was there. But nobody knew if they should kick me out or not because he'd given me permission. It sounds like, which makes sense because he says it was because of the chaos in the White House in the beginning. So some of this does make sense. I don't see Donald Trump not knowing or thinking he was going to win. It isn't in his makeup. It isn't in his genetic DNA. None of this book makes sense to me. What it looks like to me is Bannon probably thought this book was going to be something a little bit different than it was, and he signed on to it. And I think now he's starting to retract because he probably thought there was some scathing stuff in there, but he probably never thought there was going to be accusations made like this.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't. And it makes you wonder what is Bannon's motivation, I guess, at this point.
I think he's mad. I think he's mad.
Really? Would he?
I mean, and Donald, and let me read Donald Jr.'s tweet. And this is where I mean, Donald Jr. to me in this campaign, a lot of people don't see it, but I've always seen him as the rock. And I mean, everybody thinks he leans on his daughter. I don't think he leans on his daughter as much as he does Donald Jr.
Right.
Throughout the campaign, he always had his dad's back, and to me, he spoke the most eloquent. And this was his. So I take a lot of stock in what he has to say about people. I mean, I don't know the man, but from what I've seen, Steve had the honor of working in the White House and serving the country. Unfortunately, he squandered that privilege and turned the opportunity into a nightmare of backstabbing, harassing, leaking, lying, and undermining the president. Steve is not a strategist. He is an opportunist. So, to me, you hear leaking, you hear backstabbing, and you're thinking to yourself, he got in the White... This is what I think. He gets in the White House, Trump clips his wings. Yeah. And especially when he... I mean... So then this is retaliation. This is retaliation because then Bannon, after this book drops, this is his quote. "The President of the United States is a great man," he said. "I support him day in and day out, whether going through the country giving the Trump's miracle speech or on the show or the website." So I'm confused by it. Like I said, I think that he wanted to take some jabs at the president. This guy snuck some stuff underneath his nose that he didn't know was going to be in the book. And now he's definitely tied to taking the pig in the dress to the prom.
Maybe he has lost his mind. I mean, Trump says he just, after he got fired, he lost his job and lost his mind. Maybe it doesn't make sense. I'll agree with you. I agree there. It doesn't make sense.
And they keep saying there's comments. All the patriots are saying it's money, and I do agree it's money. But the caveat to this, and the thing that makes me laugh about this, is 3 months ago, it reminds me of Comey. 3 months ago, Bannon was an Irish racist Nazi who wants to take over the world and create genocide, and now, he's come out against Trump. So,
he's all right.
They're rolling out the red carpet for him. It was just like Comey. When Comey was going after Trump, and then soon as Comey dropped the bombshell that they say hit Hillary, which we know she's a failed candidate.
Right.
But it's the same thing. I love how the liberal left reacts to these things because there is no consistency in anything they do.
Yep. And they say, I mean, Gorka, who you said, like the former White House advisor, said the people that'll buy into this book are the people who hate the president already. There's probably some partial truth to that, but or maybe a lot of truth, but I guess we'll see. I think they're going to push it.
Did you see Mnuchin's comment? Did you see Mnuchin's comment right below that?
I was just pulling it up. Oh, it says, "We have become used to fake news. Now we have fake books. #MAGA."
Yeah, because I read a Daily Mail article tonight where they were saying that now there's this book of comments of all the names and how they've called him a stooge and dumb, and I just don't see it. I don't know. Maybe they do, but I really don't see that happening. I really don't. I think that he's a pretty intelligent man, and I think this is just more drama being stirred up by the left-wing media to try to bring doubt upon him by his supporters, because they've already realized his base isn't going to leave him. They're never going to attack that base.
Right. Well, it's just another distraction. I mean, I hate it. It's ridiculous. It's another distraction. It's another something that, who cares? I don't care what Bannon has to say. Nobody cares what Bannon has to say. I don't. I care about what's going on in Israel. I care about what's going on in Iran. I care about what's going on in Detroit, in New York, in Texas. There's so many. It's like Sessions. It's like, really? That's what you saw. Yeah, what you sat around today. I mean, I'm sorry to get on President Trump, but I got to give it to him too, just equally like everybody else. But dude, you know what? Just get your attorneys to do what they need to do, and don't waste our time getting Twitter updates. If you don't like fake news, President Trump, if you don't like fake news, help us out a little bit. Help we the people out a little bit. Stop giving them kind of some of this like garbage to feed off of. Just a little bit. Just cut it down just a tiny bit. It'll help us out a lot. Right. So, I'm an equal opportunity spanker.
Well, I agree. If they need it, and he needs to do something about him, because you're right. He's sitting around poking at this, unless this is part of his agenda to get it rescheduled, which I think it is. But
yeah, could be.
They need to be nailing people to the wall, just thumping them like a tack gun. Thunk, thunk. I mean, we've got Holder. We have. Yep. I mean, and people are forgetting Rice and Lynch and all these people. People are forgetting all this stuff.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Something's got to change. Something's got to give. They want justice. And I think what's happened is they want justice, and he's like, okay, you want justice? Well, I'm going to give you justice. And I think a lot of that's happening too. And Bannon, I think Bannon is an opportunist. He jumped on the bandwagon. He saw a winner. He jumped on to build his name. I mean, look at his news organization. I'd like to know, we'll have to pull up what it was worth before the presidency and what it's worth
versus
now.
After, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. And then he got a little too big. He's an egomaniac. He's a megalomaniac. He got a little too big for his britches. Figured I'll go out and influence some elections, and he got spanked everywhere he went.
Yep, he did. Hey, let's when we take a break for a Cliff Notes break, we'll get through this quick. What do you say? We're going to finish up with the last few articles, and we'll check back in. We'll check back in after Cliff Notes and the articles with the Breitbart media scandal, media accused list, because we didn't check it on Tuesday. So, okay, so again, we're talking, Again, we're talking Islam and Terrorism. It's by Mark A. Gabriel, PhD. So, when I started this, I went through just the basically, who am I, which is the opening of the book. So basically what we're talking about a guy that grew up in Egypt. He grew up in Islam. He's a Muslim. His whole life, grew up in Islam, family, everything traditional. He went to Al-Azhar University, which is the most prestigious Islamic university in Cairo. Yes, in Cairo. And he studied 11 years. He was a master. He got a master's and a doctorate in Islamic study and history. And he studied everything. In fact, he studied it so much that he started to find discrepancies and things within the Quran and within the Islamic teachings that he could not answer, that did not make sense. And this began to, he's a scholar by nature, a student by nature. So he just kept asking questions, both in his readings and in his life. Well, eventually asked questions of the wrong people. He ended up getting fired. He got arrested by the Egyptian secret police. He was detained and tortured for 15 days until, luckily for him, his uncle, I believe, had connections in politics, was able to get him out. He eventually we ended up talking to a person in his town, in his village, that gave him a Bible. And he went home and he opened it up and he read till dawn and accepted or asked Jesus to be his Savior that night. This is all in the first 3 chapters. He went on from there. His father found out. His father tried to kill him. He had to escape that night. He tried to get murdered, or there was attempted murder on his life by 2 other unmarked, unnamed, unseen individuals. So his life was attempted on him 3 times, at least, before he left. And now he came to America. So now, here's where we're at. We're in section 2. This is the roots of terrorism in Islam. And this is the part where if you have somebody that you think might be interested in this book or needs to learn a little more, we're all going to learn a little bit more about Islam and the Quran in this book. But this section really gets into the core beliefs. It gets into some of the discrepancies and things like that you really have to know the Quran and know the Islam and the Muslim religion. So he's going to bring us along. So here we go. So he says when he was a freshman at Al-Azhar University, he enrolled in a class called Quranic Interpretation. Twice a month they'd gather and hear lectures from a blind sheikh. Now this blind sheikh, he lectured how Christians are infidels, Jews are the children of the pigs. He lectured about Jihad, he says, routinely, and one day he was asked, he asked the students if there were any questions, and he stood up, this Dr. Gabriel stood up, and he said, quote, "Why is it that you teach us all the time about jihad? What about the other verses in the Quran that talk about peace, love, and forgiveness?" Now that's the core of this chapter, the core of this section this is gonna enlighten you a lot. Trust me on this one. So immediately he says his face turned red, and he responded back to him. He said, "My brother, there is a whole surah, which is a chapter in the Quran. There's a whole surah called Spoils of War. There's no such surah called Peace. Jihad and killing are the head of Islam. If you take them out, you cut off the head of Islam." That was the quote from the professor. If you take out jihad and killing, you cut off the head of Islam. So there you go. There's number one. Today, that same man, that blind sheik that gave those lectures, that said those things, today he's in a prison in the United States. His name is Omar Abdel Rahman. He was convicted of masterminding the first bomb attack of the World Trade Center in 1993. So this guy that wrote this book took lectures from the guy that masterminded the original 1993 World Trade Center bombing. Okay. So before he came to America, he was a spiritual leader. He he was an imam, of course. So then then the author goes on and he says, people in the West say have a hard time understanding terrorists, and they ask the question, are they all crazy? So this is a good question. He says, "I can assure you these people are not lunatics, nor are they psychopaths who find psychological pleasure in hurting others. This is simply Islam." So he's going to tell us about the basics of Islam. The word Islam means submission. It means one who submits to Allah. The Quran says you cannot be a true Muslim unless you submit. So then the question is, what does Allah want? I'm paraphrasing, obviously. We're cliff noting it. The answer is found in the holy books of Islam. The holy books of Islam, which Islam is made up of not just the Quran. It's the Quran and the Hadith. And the Hadith are another set of holy writings. And these are books that record verified accounts of things that the Prophet Muhammad said and did during his life. So the Hadith are like actual supposed true witnessed accounts, I guess, of things that Muhammad both said and did in his life. So this is, I'm going to get into this. Sorry, I'm restructuring here just a touch. The Quran was started in about 610 AD when Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, said that Angel Gabriel spoke to him while he was meditating in a cave near Mecca. So he claimed that these were the words of the one true God, Allah. So here's how the books of Hadith were created. People who were close to Muhammad, such as friends or wives, observed and recorded his activities. Scholars later collected all those writings, put them into 6 sets of books that they now have that they call the Hadith. They're referred to as Hadiths by Sahih al-Bukhari. So the majority of the Muslim world considers the Hadith to be authoritative, but some Muslims believe in some of them, and some believe in most of them. So that's the difference between the Sunni and the Shiites. The Sunni Muslims accept all of the Hadith as written. The Shiite Muslims accept most of it, but they reject thousands of Hadith recorded by the second wife of Muhammad. So again, this is not recognizing the second wife of Muhammad, so therefore anything that's written in the Hadiths by the second wife of Muhammad is therefore not acceptable to them. That is the Shiites. So you have to be aware of the Hadiths because Muhammad's life and teachings served to be the principles for the warfare and the ideology of coercion that's practiced today. That's why it was recorded in the Hadiths, and that's why it has so much effect. And then, of course, we've got Sharia law. So these books are the whole body of literature. Some are modern, some are ancient. So the 5 pillars of Islam we don't need to go into, I don't think, a whole lot. You can read about that all over the place. We'll get into the good stuff here. He says, this is the interesting part. Here's where it starts to get really specifically interesting, where I learned a lot. He says, why is it important that Muslims do what Allah wants? It's because Islam is a religion of works. Entrance into paradise or heaven must be earned. Entrance into paradise must be earned. Okay? This is of works. The sad part is that Muslims can never have assurance of entering paradise or heaven. When they die, they believe that they go to the grave, where they wait at the grave for their judgment at their resurrection day. That is what they believe. And when Judgment Day comes, Allah weighs the good works and the bad works and decides their fate. And here is the surah. This is Surah 101, 6 through 9. Then as for him whose balance of good deeds will be heavy, he will live a pleasant life in paradise. But as for him whose balance of good deeds will be light, he will have his home in Hawa, hell. That's from Surah 101. So there's no guarantee of paradise. It's completely subjective. It's up to Allah, apparently. Even if you do good works your entire life, they believe Allah could decide that you don't get to paradise. There is only one way that you can be guaranteed an entrance into paradise under Islam. And this is why it's the perfect motive for suicide bombers and jihad fighters. The only way to know for sure that you will get into paradise is to die in jihad. To die while fighting the enemy of Islam. That is how, it's the only way under Islam that you are guaranteed to get into heaven. If you die in jihad, you don't even go to the grave and wait for judgment. You just go directly to paradise. Jihad is a contract, really, between the individual Muslim and Allah himself. If the Muslim fights and he dies, Allah instantly awards him with the afterlife. And it's interesting because when they bury a person, it's different too. When they bury a person that didn't die in jihad, they wash his body, they dress him nicely as if they're going to a mosque. If they die in jihad, they bury them in their dirty clothes and covered in blood and all of that. This is to serve as witness when they see Allah, so that it's a sign of honor, and they believe the angels will treat him with special. So from Surah 474, let those believers who sell the life of this world for the hereafter fight in the cause of Allah, and whoso fights in the cause of Allah and is killed or gets victory, we shall bestow on him a great reward. For them Allah has got ready gardens and paradise, under which rivers flow, to dwell therein forever. That is the supreme success. So there you go. Western media, he says, this is from the author, he says, Western media has poked fun at Muslims about virgins for men and so forth, but there's something much more significant to recognize, and that is that dying in jihad is the only way a Muslim can be assured of entering paradise at all. This is not necessarily about, if I die in jihad, then I'm going to get 72 virgins. No, it's about if I die in paradise, it's the only way that they're guaranteed to go to their paradise. So then there's all the questions about, what about the nice verses in the Quran? What about the nice verses in the Quran? That's a fair question. I asked it early on. I kind of looked into this early on and figured out, a couple years ago, really what it was about. But here it is. So we've probably all heard or read in print that the Quran speaks positively about Christians. There's certain verses. He says the Quran is filled with contradictions. You can find verses where Christians are complimented as well as verses where Christians are condemned to hell. There's also contradictions about other subjects as well. For example, there was a lot of drinking in Arabian societies during Muhammad's day. One revelation in the Hadiths tell Arabs to stop drinking alcohol when going to the mosque for prayer, but when prayers are finished, they could resume drinking. So there's a lot of these contradictions. So here's why. Islamic scholars had to determine which verses to follow in the case of a contradiction. Pretty simple. They had to determine which ones do you put aside, because it's a direct contradiction. So this was accomplished by the principle of naskh, and it's Naskh. Naskh. Nask is based on the fact that the Quran was revealed to Muhammad at different times over a period of about 22 years. So some parts of the Quran came later in life and some parts came earlier in life. So to solve the contradiction, they, being the scholars of Islam, not us, not me, not you, just them, they decided that the new revelations would override the previous revelations. And to override in Arab is nasikh, which is Nasikh. So nasikh is to override, and nask is the concept, I guess, the principle of following the newest, most modern, I guess, revelation. So there's at least 114 verses in the Quran that speak of love, peace, the previous revelations. And to override
little feedback
in Arab is nasikh.
Hear myself.
IKH.
You don't need to hear me twice, I'm sure.
So there's at least 114 verses in the Quran that speak of love, peace, and forgiveness, especially in the surah titled the Haifer, which is surah 2:62. This verse, let's see. Oh, but when surah 9:5 was revealed, which is later in his life, later in his time, it canceled out these, and this is what it says: "Fight and slay the pagans wherever you find them and seize them. Beleaguer them and lie in wait for them in every stratagem of war. But if they repent and establish regular prayers and practice regular charity, then open the way for them, for Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful." That's not funny, but not funny. So that verse is known as the verse of the sword. It explains Muslims must fight anyone who chooses not to convert. So there you go. If there's contradictions, if people say that there's chapters about love and peace and living with Christians and side by side, people that recite that, it's very easy. Well, if you believe in Islam total, then you believe, as the scholars determined on their own, you believe in the principle of nask, which means that the later revelations in Muhammad's life supersede and override the earlier revelations. So anything that he talked about peace or love or living together with anybody, anything, it's just act as if it didn't happen. That's exactly what he says in here. He says it's treated as if it didn't happen. He says right here, the principle of nask is very strong. If a verse of nasikh is overridden, if a verse is nasikh or overridden, it is as if that verse doesn't even exist. So that's important right there. And if you correlate this with the timeline, it follows his life because, of course, the revelations apparently started in 610. He left Mecca in 622, went to Yathrib, which is now known as Medina. He built up military strength when he was in Medina, a large number of followers. And when Muhammad was in a position of power, he returned. He conquered Mecca, surrounded the areas, and then that's what changed Islam from a spiritual religion to a political revolution. And that's when the, quote, revelations coming to Muhammad started to change. 60% of the Quran verses talk about jihad. 60%. Okay? And the surahs are not organized in the order that they were revealed. So in the Quran, you read front to back, it doesn't follow his life. So it's very confusing. That's why they had to specify that when you find contradictions, you have to determine whether at what point in his life, what age he was at what point in his life that it was revealed, because that's how you determine whether there's a nasikh or an overriding surah. So the holy war in the Quran. Basically, this chapter is summed up pretty quick, and then we'll get back to Ty and the rest of the news. Surah 489, those who reject Islam must be killed. Pretty simple. When you meet those who disbelieve, smite their necks till when you have killed and wounded many of them, then bind and bond firmly. Means taking captives, take prisoners, after you've killed enough of them. Fight those of the disbelievers who are close to you and let them find harshness in you. It is not for a prophet that he should have prisoners of war until he has made a great slaughter in the land. These are all from the Quran. Let not the unbelievers think that they can get the better of you, of the godly. They will never frustrate them. Against them make ready your strength to the utmost of your power, including steeds of war, to strike terror into the hearts of the enemy. It says, take not Jews and the Christians as friends. They are but friends of each other. And if any amongst you takes them, then surely he is one of them. Which, of course, then, if you take friends of Jew or Christians, that means then you're a non-believer, which means you die just like them. The Quran says to punish them severely, so they will leave their home and be dispersed. It's warmongering, it's fear-mongering, it's just complete and total everything about it. Allah told Muhammad to go out and conquer the world. He said, Allah has preferred in grades those who strive hard and fight with their wealth and their lives above those who sit at home. Unto each, it doesn't say at home, these are filler words. Unto each Allah has promised good, which is paradise. But Allah has preferred those who strive hard and fight above those who sit. This is all in chapters referring to jihad. So it is, Dr. Gabriel says, it's a must. Jihad and killing is a must. It is Allah's command. The purpose of jihad is to establish Islamic authority over the entire world. This is a governmental authority over the entire world. So there's different people that fight jihad. Some consider themselves to be successful in governmental jihad and other in religious. So he describes different types of Muslims. He describes secular Muslims, traditional Muslims, and fundamentalist Muslims. You can imagine what those are. It's pretty straightforward with the rest of religions, but basically that's where we'll stop today. Again, this is Islam and Terrorism. Okay, and it's by Mark A. Gabriel, PhD. I'll try and get some pictures up so you guys can get that. But he goes into we're going to get into, after this, we're going to get into the misinformation in the media. He goes into a little bit of Arabian culture, and then gets really deep into the Quran, and we're going to get into when and how and the details of Muhammad declaring jihad. So, there you go. Whew! Cliff Notes with Francis. We'll get a little break from that now. Sorry I couldn't get that to you guys yesterday. I'm going to try and fill that in on the in-between days, if I can, with my schedule, the work, the family, the whole shebang. So I will do my best. Ty? Brother? How you doing?
I'm here. Oh, I'm here. I've never left. Never left your side, brother.
I know you didn't. What'd you think?
Hey, I like it. People need to know. I mean, a lot of times people don't have time to pick up that book and read it. So you know what? If they can just turn it on live or catch it after and just throw some earbuds in or just be able to listen to us and they're learning a little bit about it, I think that's what we're trying to do all the way around, is just get you to listen for a few minutes. And if we can get some information out to you that'll either change your mind or make you look at something different or get you to join the fight for what's right, we the people, that's kind of what we're trying to do.
Yep. Yeah, hopefully, like I said, if I can get those out on the in-between days, it'll be nice because it'll just be just that piece, so people can just watch it if they just want to catch up on the book. So, well, let's head into the rest of this and try and finish up. What do you say?
All right, sounds good, man.
All right, we got a bunch here. Let me fire off with, first of all, we all heard about the old house fire at the Clintons, right? You heard about that?
Yeah.
Well,
convenient.
This is I did confirm that it was in the bedroom. I was able to find on several different, or a few different trusted sites, that it was in the bedroom. Now, of course, the bedroom has a closet attached and a bathroom attached, which supposedly this is the same house and the same bathroom, same closet area, master bedroom area that housed the infamous servers.
Yes.
But this part, I will say, I couldn't confirm. It's from yournewswire.com, and I'm not terribly familiar with them, although I did look a little bit at the site, and like they have their address and their phone number, like you can contact them. There's good information. It seemed pretty legit, but you know, don't hang me if this little tidbit doesn't come out true. But the fire department, apparently somebody said that the room was full of computer equipment, essentially. Servers, hard drives. It says that they were just
fire, right?
What's that?
Would they say it was bad wiring or something?
I haven't heard that. I just heard that nobody was home. It mysteriously started in the bedroom, which house fires generally no. But bedroom is not where it starts.
Smoking in bed.
Yeah, that would be easy. They would say that, which neither one of them smoke. So
that's about the only time.
Yep, exactly. So this quote says, "I saw smashed up hard drives, melted memory cards, and the charred remains of paper scattered all over the room, and immediately knew the fire must have started there." A Chappaqua Fire Department source told local news reporters, explaining that the house fire was put out by Secret Service agents before the fire department arrived. So, here's the thing.
Nick said Bill smokes cigars.
Got
us there, amongst other things.
Cha-ching!
Cha-ching. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
I mean, Nick. Sorry, Nick.
Nick. So, yeah. And thanks, Bill, for the endless jokes. For years and years of endless material. Thank you, Bill Clinton.
Thank you, Slick Willie.
So, here's the thing. If the fire was put out by Secret Service agents, if this was a house fire and it was put out by Secret Service agents, which could make sense. I mean, that makes sense, especially because I looked at the timeline from the time the 911 call came in to the time the fire was supposedly put out, and it was such a short period of time, there's no way the fire department got there and got it out. Trust me, yeah. I spent enough years in the fire department, it didn't happen. It was like 8 minutes or 11 minutes or something like that. It didn't happen. I don't even care if it was. I don't care if it was a
bunker gear on.
Yeah, I'm sure that these Secret Service agents that are assigned to these special teams, they're not just sitting around on a chair like you see in a movie where they can, a ninja can come up behind them and cut their throat with a, razor blade glued to the underside of their fingernail. This isn't super double top secret. I mean, these guys are sitting around. They have extra training. They have specific medical training. Okay, they have extra training in dealing with chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear. So you can be damn sure that they have probably pretty good fire extinguishers, I would think. I mean, this is...
Oh, yeah, and they probably were right on it.
So that part makes sense, but here's the part that bugs me a little bit. If it was a fire that was put out by Secret Service agents, there's no way that it got big enough to melt a bunch of memory cards and char paper, and unless it wasn't all... No. Unless I'm misreading this. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. That's the information we've got. It says that...
With the Clintons, nothing is surprising.
Mm-hmm. Well,
if you'll kill people to keep secrets, burning a few hard drives and a few disks and some papers are minuscule.
Well, she already
to the things they've done.
Yeah, she already smashed up her phones and bleached her hard drives, whatever that is.
Yeah, like Michael said, burning server experience.
Burning server experience. That's right. According to QAnon. The infamous White House insider, President Trump's recent announcement that he is going after high-profile child traffickers is directly linked to the Clinton house fire. Hillary Clinton, the president, and I did confirm this part, the presidential candidate whose notorious homebrew server sparked multiple FBI investigations and eventually one controversial exoneration by former director James Comey. The part that I was referring to was that... which wasn't on here, I thought it was, but I'll just tell you about Clinton covering up. Let's see if it's in here, if I can find it so I don't misquote it. Clinton covered up in an internal investigation into the State Department when she was Secretary of State. That, here it is. According to internal State Department memos, there might have been called off or intervened. The agency might have called off or intervened into investigations into possibly illegal, inappropriate behavior within its ranks, allegedly to protect jobs and avoid scandals. And this was concern over, misconduct like prostitution and sex trafficking and things like that.
Lolita Express.
Yeah, and so she basically put a halt.
Thanks, Denise.
She put a halt to that investigation. And QAnon is basically saying that that this had something to do with that child abuse and human trafficking network that was operating within Clinton's State Department. And that's what this QAnon is alluding to the fire was attempting to cover up. So there...
Trump just announced on January 1st that that was his new mission, was to go after child traffickers. Good for him. Kudos to President Trump once again. Make America great again. Right back there.
So there you go. That's,
which really...
Just another Hillary story to add
well,
to
and
the
which
bottomless
if you don't mind if
file.
I could jump in, throw it over your shoulder. Here's the thing: is you being a fireman should know that if you leave that many papers laying behind you after a while, you're gonna have a fire of your own.
Heck yeah, I know. I'm gonna pick them up.
You'd be swimming in paper.
It's okay. I'll get the kids to make a game out of it or something. I don't know. I'll think of something.
Right, you could make a lot of paper airplanes with the stories we could do about her.
Ooh-wee. Well, speaking of that,
if I hop into that one?
No, go for it.
Since it segues right into it, I mean, it's perfect.
Fire it.
So we got Senator Grassley.
Yes.
I mean, this is what I like about this. Is Senator Grassley stepping up, and what he's saying is okay. And another thing where this comes in is, Comey's been tweeting about leadership. I hope the New Year's brings in some ethical leadership or some nonsense like that. Mm-hmm. Don't quote me that's what he said. Yeah. But Grassley's like, enough's enough. So Grassley comes out and he's like, okay, we know under testimony he said that he handed memos over to one of his professor friends, and I think it says he was from Columbia University. So basically,
I think that's right.
What Grassley's wanting to look into is to see that if Comey handed over sensitive or classified info in these documents that he let him lead about President Trump to his friend at Columbia University.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that during the hearings, he bragged about it. And from what the article says is these memos that he gave to his friend from Columbia were like these self-absorbed stories of his run-ins with President Trump and how he's trying to chivalrously save the country. And it's this, basically he's singing his own song is what it sounds like to me.
Mm-hmm.
So in these memos, they know there's some classified information. Grassley knows this is a way to catch Comey up. We all know Comey's corrupt. I mean, he shouldn't be talking about leadership with the failed FBI. I mean, we had an FBI that took Huma Abedin's computer, her laptop, and Hillary's and scrubbed the hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
Scrubbed them. I think McCabe was involved in that. I think he was the agent. If I'm not incorrect, he's the agent that led that part of it, I'm pretty sure.
I think you might be right, yeah.
That had those hard drives scrubbed. So the beautiful thing of this is the pervert husband, Anthony Weiner, Friends of Pecker, this guy right here,
Anthony, is that a picture of your wiener?
Right. I mean,
jeez.
And then in his bed with his kid next to him. I mean, what a weirdo. Whatever. That's another story for another day. But now they're finding out, I think it's up to 11 or 13 classified or top secret documents they found on his computer. So basically, they didn't even care about anything to do with the security of this country. We all know what this is about. We all know that they could care less about security. I mean, when they said, Podesta's password was password, wasn't it password 1?
Yeah, something like that.
When he got hacked into, they found it was password 1. So Grassley's had enough. Grassley's fallen foul, which is good to see. The article right here said that he's not going to put up with it anymore. That there was Grassley, Republican Iowa, penned a letter to Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein late Wednesday saying he and his staff had reviewed the Comey memos, which were created purportedly memorializing his interaction with President Trump. They did so in a sensitive, compartmented information facility at the FBI and the Senate because the FBI deemed the majority of the memos to be classified.
Of course.
So then the argument, okay, here's the funny part of it is the private memos, the memos weren't classified themselves. It was classified as the material that's inside the memo.
Right.
Okay, his letter appears to back up July 2017 reports that several of Comey's private memos contain classified material. The Hill first reported on this development. Comey committed in congressional testimony in June 2017 that he had given a friend, Columbia University professor Daniel Richman, his memos about discussions with Trump in order to have his notes leaked. to the New York Times.
Unbelievable.
So he's given over his notes that have classified information over to New York Times. Well, then we all know Trump come out and said that his info, that it's illegal what he did. But here's the thing in the article that I really wanted to touch on, and I was glad that Fox News put this in the article because you don't see stuff like this very often. If you go down to where it talks about the Justice Department told Fox News that it would not confirm or deny investigations, okay, and decline to further comment. But here's the thing that I like that Fox News put in there. The FBI employee agreement, which all agents sign, states unauthorized disclosure, misuse, or negligent handling of information contained in the files, electronic or paper, of the FBI, or which I may acquire as an employee of the FBI, could impair national security, place human life in jeopardy, result in the denial of due process, and prevent the FBI from effectively discharging its responsibilities or violate federal law. That right there is a signal. I mean,
Yeah.
when you sign that right there, that's acknowledging. I mean, we've all been to work. I'm sure when you went to work at the fire department, they handed you this equipment and said, hey, if you die in a fire, we handed this to you, and if you don't use it, it's on you now. Your wife don't get the insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at my former jobs, that's how it is. So the guy signed what it took to be an FBI agent, and from what I read and all of that, wouldn't you say that in one fell swoop, from what we know, Comey is basically shat upon this whole, what would you call it, credo that they follow?
Yep. I would say.
What's your take of it? What's your take of it,
Well,
Francis?
it's just another example. It's pretty cut and dry. The FBI was weaponized. They were allowed to grow into such a protected. They insulated him. Obama and Clinton's insulated the FBI in a way with established practice, with new policies, with the placement of specific people in specific positions. He insulated them to allow them to be a kind of a rogue, weapon, political weapon. And I thought it was interesting.
Yes.
Grassley wrote in here that this is a quote of Grassley. It said FBI personnel refused to answer. Let me highlight it. Refused to answer factual questions during the document reviews. Okay, that bothers me right there. That bothers me right there. If there's a factual... the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Federal. Okay, you were a federal government employee, right? And this is a document review. You're asked a simple, straightforward, factual question. I'm sorry, it's against the law to lie to the FBI? It damn sure better be against the law for the FBI employee to lie. And I'm sorry, refusing to answer a factual question, it's the same thing as lying. But in my book, so...
But that's what we're finding, Francis. That's what we're finding is they have lived
more weaponized
by a separate set of they've lived a separate set of rules. They've lived a separate life than the rest of us. Money talks. We know that the Clinton machine, the Clinton Foundation, they had their roots set down in the Middle East. I mean,
that's right.
And they stand for all these values. We stand for gays. We stand for women. But we'll take money from people that'll throw gays off of roofs and that won't let women drive cars.
Yeah.
I mean, the Clintons are known for this. We'll sell your uranium to our enemies. The Clintons are known for this. They need to be thrown under the jail. We've seen nothing but problems from the Clintons, and you're right. They did come into the government, pay for play. It's you scratch my back, I scratch yours. We saw in the article we talked about last week where he said that she was going to get I can't remember. It was a group special or it was the House special. That's what Hillary was getting when they investigated her, which is, like you said, is they basically have used the FBI, I'm sure the CIA. We know they've used
the IRS.
The financial institutions in this country as the long arm of the law or the metal fist or the iron fist or whatever you want to call it. So this shouldn't surprise anybody. The burning, the fire at Hillary's house after the first of the year, that shouldn't surprise anybody. None of this should surprise anybody. It's all coming down on their head.
Mm-hmm.
They poked the bear in Trump, and I think now
coming
he's
up coming up to tax time too. There
you go, man. That's what I was trying to get at. I wish you'd have said that about 20 seconds ago. You're right. It's coming to tax time. It's time to pay the piper.
Just saying.
It's time to pay the piper.
It's not like it's all about money with these people, right? I mean, no.
Right?
No.
And like Naoma said, the corruption is deep. And then she said again, refuse to lock them up until they talk.
That's right.
And then the kick to this is now they're saying he's retaliating.
Yes.
How many times did you sit in your front room during the campaign and chant, lock her up, lock her up? And then I'll never forget when that meme came on Facebook when they said she was talking on TV to hold your fork be in front of your eyes and imagine her in jail the whole time she's talking. I know you had to do that too. I did it. I mean, man, every chance I got, I was locking her up, holding the fork.
I love it.
It's like you're crazy. The kids think you're insane. I'm like, well, I am. But so he's been talking about this forever. So to say this in retaliation for something is nonsense. He ran on locking her up.
Of course, and we loved him for it. And again, I think yours and mine's favorite, if I had to pick a favorite single quote, single line from the entire presidential race.
I love it.
It's when she says, well, it's a good thing that a man with Donald Trump's temperament isn't in charge of the laws in this country, and he just bam, because you'd be in jail. Boom!
Right.
I love
right.
That whole
and
interaction was good,
Facebook,
but that was beautiful.
And when Facebook did the Trump life and it throws that joint in his mouth and those Loke glasses on his face, it's classic.
Yeah, it is.
And it's true, and she should be ready. Hopefully the government is watching that she don't leave the country. Because I'm sure she's going to be thinking about it.
Exactly. Oh, I'm sure that she's probably got an escape plan already set up. So to finish up with Grassley, he says, including questions about the chain of custody of the documents in question, they refuse to answer questions pertaining to the chain of custody of the documents, meaning they were asking, like, what day did you get it? What day did you hand it over? Who did it go to? Did this person get it? Did that person not? At what day was it marked classified? What day was it not? Was it marked unclassified? Who gave it the classification demarcation? The classified demarks, and they refused to answer these questions, according to Grassley. That is extremely concerning to me. That's like, okay, well, I don't even have to pause anymore. Judgment made. You're doing some hanky crap. You're guilty of something, or you're covering for somebody else that's guilty of something. Hillary Rodham Clinton. But there's crap going on that the American people deserve to know about. That's what really ultimately pisses me off about stuff like this.
Right. The wool has been pulled over our eyes.
Question everything.
They've lied to us. It reminds me of Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
If this don't remind you, seriously, this whole election cycle and everything, and maybe it's just my weird twisted head thinking this, but it reminds me of Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain, all these different characters, the Tin Man, the Lion. We could have done a Wizard of Oz with this election cycle and definitely filled in characters, and it would have been a hit.
Yeah. Well, Comey and the FBI.
Right.
You're worth about the same as Hillary.
Kids.
Kids, yeah. Pick up the fire hazard. And you know what? Speaking, just to follow up, finish up on Hillary, just because, why not? Just the stink and the flies and the stench, and it just kind of seems to follow her. I got this right here. Former Hillary campaign manager accused of protecting staffers who sexually harassed women. So this is from WikiLeaks. And I'll remind you, every time I bring up WikiLeaks, I'll try to remind you. Any idea how long WikiLeaks has been in this business? Doing this, releasing this type of information? Any idea, Ty?
I'm not going to venture to throw out how many years, but I would say it's probably been since the 90s. I would say late 90s, when the internet probably was prevalent. They probably came on.
Not quite that long, but it's been about 10 years.
Okay.
And do you know how many times WikiLeaks has released information that has later been proven false? That's right.
0?
That's right.
I know that for a fact. I remember them touting that they've never had to retract a statement ever.
Okay, so keep that in mind, folks. An email from WikiLeaks collection of emails from Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta. So these are from the John Podesta emails. Alleges that Clinton campaign manager Robbie Mook covered up sexual harassment allegations made against another staffer because he was a friend of his. They tweeted out on Tuesday saying that it previously flew under the radar, but post-Weinstein, the emails are now drawing more attention. They said top Clinton aide cornered women for sex and then was later protected by campaign manager Robbie Mook, according to the accusations in a January 2015 email. And I think he's got the email in here. It says... I was recently this is the email. I was recently contacted by a source who claims to have worked on the 2008 Hillary Clinton campaign and is alleging that Marlon Marshall made unwelcome sexual advances and propositions towards women on the campaign repeatedly. The allegation is that he would corner women, this is quote, corner women, make them uncomfortable, and make suggestions about having sex. The source encouraged me to contact women who worked under him in the Nevada office, which of course then later led him to Robbie Mook. So that's the email. This is to Amara. This was a question asking Mara if she was able to describe her experience working with Marshall. And her response was, "This is a bit of a sensitive topic, so forgive me if my questions are general in nature. I'm only responding to a tip." But that's when she passed on that information that we just read. That is... So,
champion of women, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. You know, you might as well. If you're going to have a campaign manager and that's going to protect someone else on your campaign staff that's attacking or, I guess, being aggressive towards women, it goes right along. You might as well, when you support an ideology like Islam, like they do.
Well, Michael's in here. He can not shock the Clintons and everyone in their camp are godless pigs. You want to know what? If you really want to be freaked out, hop on YouTube, and there's an anonymous video they did called Clinton Cash. And if you get a chance, I think we talked about it on one of these shows, you got to watch it, because really, here's the thing is most of us are all people that look at this stuff and could have put a few things together, but none of us are professional political analysts or have the time to tie all these things together. But in that video, it will shock you how things are tied from, I think, clear back to the 70s and 80s and how it just all ties together and money around the world. It'll blow your mind, man. If you thought the Clintons were shady, watch Clinton Cash, the anonymous on YouTube. It will blow your mind. They are shadier than you could ever.
It's incredible. It's incredible how long they've been doing this kind of crap and how much they've really gotten away with. And Haiti, we've never even talked about Haiti. We're talking. Do you know that in Haiti they got $2 billion collected, and you know how much was reported? The latest, most accurate figure, supposedly, that was actually provided in aid. 2%.
Yep, it was just a money-making Ponzi scheme. 2%. For the Clintons. They've run them all over the world, man.
That's 40 million out of 2 billion.
Right.
Billion. With a B.
Right.
The big B.
Yeah, real right. Like Talina said, she's seen it, so you know. I mean, guys, it's and what I like in the thing is they show how they use the Jedi mind tricks on people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'll hold her to something, and they show her through like the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. She's like, well, I don't remember it that way, or I had a brain fart, or I just don't remember, and that's how and then they just shake their head and kind of give this blank stare, and it's like it resets everybody in the room to believe them. It's insane. And everybody's like, okay, Hillary.
It is.
I don't know.
It is.
It reminds me of one of those freaking robots off of Star Trek that can like warp somebody's mind into agreeing. Just
well, that and they're
Sheppel.
Dude, that's exactly what they do. But you know how they do it? It's the Saul Alinsky approach. Just repeat it. If you tell people the same thing enough times,
they're gonna believe you.
I'm sorry, but that's been a huge component to taking over of academia, to taking over the mainstream media and the narrative, is they just started putting it out there. I mean, the Clintons or whoever was in charge of running the narrative would just put a little something out there, like start referring to this country in a negative way, saying if you want it to be a democracy, you just start saying, well, this isn't how a democracy works. Well, this isn't what you do in a democracy.
Right.
Well, this isn't how you live in a democracy. Well, this isn't the way democracy is supposed to go. It literally, it's reverse psychology, but it's at its most warped and evil sense. Now we've got an entire generation or more of Funyuns, breathing Funyuns walking around on two legs, going, "This isn't a democracy. This isn't a democracy." No, you're right. Again, it's not a democracy. It's a constitutional republic. Learn the difference, and then come back, and then we'll talk about why else you're an idiot and you've been brainwashed.
Yeah, this is fake. History's not real. The Holocaust never happened.
Yeah.
I've heard it all.
I've
heard it all.
We have.
And you want to know what? You just shake your head and move forward, man. Is there some of them you're never going to get to?
No. Well, I'm glad to see. I like to see more and more and more stories that come up about Hillary Clinton. You know, I like to see things that come up, and this is another one. The House finally uncovers what FBI has been hiding from the public. It says the Happy New Year won't be a Happy New Year for corrupt former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Supposedly, they're calling it the smoking gun regarding FBI knowing that Hillary broke the law and then let her off the hook anyway. And this is the part where they have documents that elude, apparently, or flat out show that the Bureau had evidence in their possession to show that the Secretary of State and her staff broke federal law. Congressional investigators told The Hill that they possess written statements indicating a belief by FBI agents that laws were broken by Clinton and her aides when they transmitted classified information through her private email server. So, and not only through a private email server, but they're using Yahoo Mail. Who uses Yahoo Mail anymore? Nobody uses Yahoo Mail, especially not after they got hacked. And guess who continued to use Yahoo Mail after it got hacked? After millions of accounts got hacked, guess who continued to run her private server, housed in her bathroom in her private house? Huma Abedin and Anthony, Show Me Your Wiener, and whoever else. Guess who? You got it. HRC, baby. Yahoo Mail. Brilliant. These are the people that we've elected as a country to run this country.
Do it. Crumple it.
Yeah, let me make sure before we got here. It says,
Kids.
Republicans on 3 House committees and the Senate Judiciary Committee have based their findings on recent interviews and document productions, including an analysis of the multiple drafts of former FBI Director James Comey's exoneration of Clinton. Let me read that again. Including an analysis of the multiple drafts of former FBI Director James Comey's exoneration of Clinton. Multiple drafts of an exoneration. Oh, no, nothing to see here. Move along, nothing to see here. No cover-up. So tired of this garbage, man. Tired of it. Merca! Alright. Merca, what do we got? You know what we should do? Let's close out tonight with, unless you got something else. I think we got through everything you sent me too, huh?
Yeah, we talked about Sessions already and Cory Gardner sticking up for pot. Yeah, man, we've only got one more thing to check. Right?
Yeah, that's right. That was Sessions. God, you know, yeah, we're gonna come back to Sessions because we're gonna come back to the whole cannabis hemp discussion on a special show. So we gotta check in with the mainstream media's accused, the Breitbart rap sheet.
This is my favorite. We
gotta check in with the Breitbart rap sheet. So you gotta, you guys put up a guess if you'd like.
All right, I'm checking, guys. I just turned on the comments, so if anybody have a guess, what were we at last?
I don't know.
I think we were, was it 47?
47, 48?
I'm going to write it down today after we're done. I think it was 48. You're right, 48.
48. Yeah, okay, so it's 48.
You guys,
can you believe?
Okay.
Can you believe this started, you guys, at 15? So on November 29th is when this article started, and it was 15. Okay, and now the last number we had, which is what, a month and 5 weeks? In 5 weeks, it's grown from 15 to at least 48. That's what it was last time.
Dan has 56 on here.
And you know, while some
Nick has 73.
While some people are putting in some numbers and some guesses there. I want to just drop a note here. We didn't get to talk about Iran, but I think it's important to just bring it up a little touch here. I think that anybody that has a problem with what the president is saying about Iran, it's not meddling, it's not getting involved. It's, if anything, it's moral support. These are people that we all as Americans can recognize have been oppressed. We all as Americans can recognize. And you know what? Speaking of oppression, y'all wanted anybody that complained and whined about net neutrality and all of that garbage, guess what? The regulation and the control that net neutrality gave the government, the federal government, would allow them to do exactly what the Iranian government has done to the internet in that country. Why?
Right.
How did we organize this summer? We didn't call each other on the phone, did we?
Facebook.
We Facebooked it. We social media. We emailed. We, instant messaged through group messages on Facebook or group pages. So, I'm sorry, folks, but net neutrality would allow your government to do exactly what Iran has done, and that is to shut down the internet, which means you shut down people's ability to organize. So for the government,
they did it right away. Too.
Oh, immediate, of course. That's the most powerful
they
tool.
Realized.
And if the government can't infringe on our First Amendment right, which is our right to organize, you know what? I think it could be argued in a federal court that the existence of the internet as a free market is essential nowadays to upholding the First Amendment and the right to organize, because it's essential to the way that life functions nowadays.
And I'll agree with you 110%. And for activism, it is. If it's the fastest way to get the word around.
All right, so
and that picture of that girl says it all.
Oh man.
And she was standing there, and she's holding her head, a scarf above her on that stick. I mean, to me, that's. I know this sounds crazy, but I mean, I would equate that right there could be a picture that goes down in history as the greatest. If that country turns around, the greatest picture of all time. I mean, that number one. I mean, that isn't just a man from that country making a stand. That is somebody that they treat as subhuman, standing there in defiance and pulling that scarf off of her head and holding it on a stick, knowing damn well that she could pay the consequences. You know, I'm glad the president stepped in. I'm glad he said something. I'm glad he's showing support.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time since the 70s that it looks like the people have had enough. And what they're pissed off about, Francis, is they know how much money. They don't know exactly how much, but they know the Iran deal was good for the Iranian people. They know that Obama threw some cash their way, and you want to know what? Life hasn't changed for the college kids.
Nope.
Life hasn't changed for the conservative Iranians, and the college kids and the conservative Iranians are upset, and they're finally making a stand. And you know what upsets me is Americans and feminists in this country.
Oh, I know.
The feminists in this country should be screaming from the tower tops in support of these people, and you want to know what? You don't hear anything. The leader of the Women's March last year, I can't think of her name.
Oh.
She said she wears the headscarf herself. I can't think of her name. Yeah, what has she said? Where has she come out and said for those women? When is crickets? Because you want to know what? It's the same as the day of the Women's March. You're invited unless you're pro-life. You're invited unless you're conservative. You want to know what, ma'am? They're all a joke. Sorry to ramble.
Nope, you're exactly right. That's and we see it. It's not about the issue. Whatever issue that they've got, whether it's the Women's March, the feminism, the pink hats, the whatever it is, it seems anymore, it's not about the issue. It's about being. It's like clickbait. They're like live. They're like living, walking clickbait. How do we get a bunch of people together and look like we're really pissed off at the president? It doesn't matter what the issue is. That's why you can ask them all the time about, you go to these rallies and they're protesting Trump, and you go, well, why are you protesting Trump? Well, because he's lied 1,000 times. Oh, really? Well, what is he? Well, give me one thing that he's lied about that's been proven. And they can't.
Right.
Well, he's a racist. Okay, tell me one thing that he said that's racist or white supremacist or. Well, there's so many. Well, if there's so many, you should have no problem giving me one. Just one. I'll wait.
Show me.
So it's not about the issue. It's not about the topic. It's not about the argument per se. It's about just being argumentative, being
about the
protestive. Yeah, it's just resisting, just to resist, without even knowing what you're resisting. Which means if you're doing that, you're being controlled. You're being controlled by somebody. Yep. Being fed a line of crap. So, all right, what do we got for guesses? I know there's probably still...
well, we've had, let's see, let me scroll back.
I heard 74, 53.
Neoma, 53. Mark Grady, Colorado Patriot, 48. Linda,
hey,
I
Mark
have no
Grady.
idea, guys. Michael, 61. Nick, 73. That's about what we got this evening.
Oh, and you guys, I apologize. I meant to say this earlier. I didn't realize when I went to go live... because of the software that goes through and everything, I accidentally put it live on the American Freedom Keepers page instead of the American Radio Show page, so probably some people didn't get notifications that were expecting it. Hopefully they found us. I tell you what, we have been getting hammered, dude.
By Facebook.
Hammered. You would not believe it. I know you can't see all the I think you can see, maybe you can see all the same insights. I'm telling you guys, the reach, I mean, it's like...
They cut us in by like a quarter.
Oh yeah, and you know what happened? It was as soon as I got in, because here's what happened. I tried to merge the pages, but it wouldn't allow me. So I got in, I had to tweak the name a little bit, because the names have to be similar in order to merge the followings and the families. And dude, they've been killing it ever since. So we appreciate you guys sharing this out when we get live and helping us with the message. Still can't wait for Infinity, and let's check out Mainstream Media's accused. What do you say? We were 48. Here we
48.
go.
Let's see.
52, baby. 52.
I'm writing that down so we don't. 52. So who's new?
52. Let's go down. Yeah, let's see who's new. So we were at 48. Let's see who, if I can quickly scroll past. Okay. So I'll go back up. So hopefully nobody caught that. Whoa, it was a little quick. Okay, we're scrolling back up the list. We're at 36. Some of these are fun just to like go back and look at. Here's one of my favorites since we're right here. This is one of my favorites. We talked about it before. It's the Boston Globe. What do we call it? It's got to be a scandal. It's the Boston Globe scandal. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 unnamed Boston Globe staffers fired for misconduct, and 1 unnamed Boston Globe staffer fired over allegations he pressured women to have sex with his wife. Dude, that's a
classic.
That is. I wish I was one of those people. Well, no, I don't wish. But I wish that one of those people that was in that group would write a book on that, because that is the Boston Globe scandal right there. All right.
Yeah.
Let's make our way up to 48 and see who's new, so we can let everybody have the rest of the night off, and we can go back. Let's see here. Don Hazen. Okay, Dan Switzer, longtime CNBC director. That was crazy one. It's CNBC director. Okay, number 48. Mike Germano, Vice Media's chief digital officer. Ooh, suspended over allegations of sexual misconduct. Rice James from Vice Media, suspended for sexual harassment and bullying. There's 2 of them. Boy, they just do these crackdowns. That was after number 48. Andrew Crichton, Vice Media president. Oh gosh. Oh, we got a whole Vice Media scandal, dude. Head of Vice Media documentary division suspended for sexual misconduct.
Oh, I'm gonna look into
the Vice
this
Media.
get off.
Yeah, the Vice Media president suspended over allegations of sexual misconduct. Vice Media's chief digital officer. This is the media president, the head of the media documentary division, and the media's chief digital officer. 3 top-level employees all suspended over allegations of sexual misconduct. And then Rice James from Vice Media suspended for sexual harassment and bullying. 51. Steve Chagaris, political director at CBS News, fired over allegations of inappropriate behavior. Steve Butts, editor-in-chief of IGN. Wow, the editor-in-chief of IGN fired over allegations of misconduct. I mean, dude, they are just... It's like... Do you realize how many of these people that we've seen on this list have been in top level? I mean, top-level executive positions, presidents, CEOs, directors.
Or big names in the industry. They're either like you said, top CEOs, top officials in companies, or they're either big names, Matt Lauer, names like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah, does that
money,
seem a little odd?
That's what we're finding out everywhere.
Or is it just a social disease that has been allowed to fester for so long that it literally became the governing power, the governing kind of philosophy within? I mean, could it be that bad that it got left untouched that long that all of these turds fed off of each other and made it to the top?
Oh, for sure. They're all day, man.
That's pretty sad.
Birds of a feather.
And friends of Pecker.
And friends of Pecker fly with birds of a feather. Right on, man. It's been...
And if you guys,
always good doing this.
And if you guys that are watching right now didn't catch that show earlier on, that is a term that was actually used within, or is, or was used within, was it the, it was in show business. And there was...
Yeah, it was Hollywood Circle,
Hollywood
Weinstein,
circles.
they were saying Oprah.
Yeah, and it's this guy, I don't remember his first name. His name was something Pecker, and he apparently was this big shot and owns a bunch of media, magazines, and stuff like that. And basically, if you were a friend of Pecker, you could pretty much do anything, and he would make sure that only the right stories were written about you, and you were basically covered, which is how Weinstein, that's what it was. It was about the Harvey Weinstein issue. Harvey Weinstein was one of the best friends of Pecker, and that's how, in that show business. And you know what, dude? I retract a little bit what I said earlier, or what I was thinking earlier about is it not possible, or is it not realistic? Man, the media is show business.
It is show. That's what it is. It's what it's turned into. The media is not ethical at all anymore.
That's why we're seeing all the connections and all the similarities between Weinstein and Matt Lauer and the two.
It's a Shakespeare play.
Exactly, and the two are intertwined, and they have been for a very long time, and they've been very good for each other. They both are involved in passing on the narrative. They both are involved in covering up for the other.
Well, that's the thing is they need each other to survive. They need each other.
Yeah.
Here's the deal, because you have the perpetrators of these crimes who then go to their friends, and then a lot of these girls are starlets or upcoming actresses, staffers, house staffers, volunteers.
Yep.
You've got people coming in, these young girls that come in, and what they do is they take advantage of them. The girls go to stand on their own 2 feet and say, stop this, and then they say, okay, you need to stop this, and if you say anything, you won't have a career in Hollywood, you'll never work in DC,
never again.
You'll never be able to run for politics. Yeah, it's blackmail at its finest. So that's what we've got to stop, man. We've got to stop the corruption all the way around, and we got a president that's working on it right now.
Amen. All right, brother. We'll leave it at that.
Brother.
Thank you for everything. Thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in, for sharing, for supporting us. We've still got a lot of news, a lot of new things coming, a lot of news that's going to be coming up with us and with American Freedom Keepers and the whole shebang. So
Yep.
I had a good time tonight, brother. Thanks again.
I did too, man. It was great. I love doing this stuff with you. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate the likes and the shares. We're just trying to get the word out there. And like I always say, guys, if we don't stand for the liberties and freedoms that we have today, our children and our grandchildren, we're not going to have them tomorrow. We'll see you all on Sunday. And keep your eyes open, guys, because it's all smoke. The fire's somewhere.
That's right. Smoke and mirrors. Question everything. If you're being called to look at something, if something is just dragging your attention over here by the mainstream media, by the talking heads, by the narrative, that's immediately when you've got to start questioning even harder. So thank you, everyone. Stay vigilant, and we'll see you Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. All right. Later, brother.
Later, brother. Bye-bye.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, oh, the red We are the